Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to some of you. Those of you who happen to be watching and tuning in. Welcome to the Do What Is Necessary live stream. We are coming to you live right here from the Midwest here in the United States. It's Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock here. So if you're just tuning in, tell us where you're watching from. I'm always curious and anxious to see where our viewers tune in from every week. Happy to have you sharing your earbuds or sharing your screen with me today. I'm super excited. We've got a good topic today. I think it's a pertinent topic for small business owners as we go into the new year. And if you're an entrepreneur, lots of things on tap today. So welcome, Mitch from Saskatoon, from way up north in Canada. Let me know did you guys get some snow, Mitch? Let me know. We're waiting on some snow here in Ohio. I'm anxious for the snow. If it's going to be cold, I want to have snow on the ground. So welcome to the show. This is, again, let me know if this is your first time tuning in as well, and where you happen to be watching from. And if those of you who are repeat viewers of the show, high five. Thank you so much for all that you do and for tuning in every week. We're appreciative of all of our repeat viewers who tune in every week, who give us feedback, who give us what we need to keep the content rolling here. Again, this is Wednesday afternoon therapy. This is meant to break up the work week and break up the monotony, and for us as business owners, executives, small business people, to be able to gather and do what is necessary. And that is the theme of this show. So happy to have you joining us today. If this is your first time watching, or you're watching this on the replay, please drop that in the comments too. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if this is the first time you're tuning in to the Do What Is Necessary live stream. I'm honored to have you with us today. So, lots to talk about today. As I mentioned, I'm happy that on the news front here in the United States, things have been relatively quiet. And I think for me, the most exciting thing in the news this week is Bernie memes. So, if you have a favorite Bernie Sanders meme, please drop that in the comments. I've seen a ton this week, and I laugh. You know, my wife collects those as we sit in the evening and watch those, and it's hilarious. And if you're like the tech geek that I am, this was probably one of my favorites. Was the CAPTCHA with the Bernie meme, and select all squares with mittens. And all kidding aside, I mean, Bernie took it in stride, and really, I think it's funny, but he decided to spin it around and do something good. He actually has, I think it's just sweatshirts right now, but he set up a website and is donating all of the money from sales of the Bernie sweatshirt to a soup kitchen up in Vermont, which I think is his home state. So good for him for taking an opportunity and doing something good with it. But I'm happy that it gave us something to laugh about, something to kind of breathe a sigh of relief in the endless news cycle of bad stuff that we've seen in the last year. And so I'm happy to get a laugh out of that. So please, if you're watching this after the fact too, drop that in the comments. Share your favorite Bernie meme with the Do What Is Necessary and with Team Orange. So I'm happy to be able to share all of that stuff. So again, we've got a good show today. If you've never watched the Do What Is Necessary live stream, this is counterintuitive to what you might think it is. Do What Is Necessary for me is anti-hustle, anti-grind, all of that nonsense that is pushed out there as being the norm in business and in life as to what our business and what our life should look like, and doing what is absolutely necessary for you. And that's what this show is dedicated to. Think differently, to challenge all of those notions for life, for spirituality, for business, all of those things that we've been probably taught for years, and that we've just willingly accepted. That's what this show is meant to do, is to challenge the norm, to challenge our thinking so that we can grow. And we're absolutely doing what is necessary for us, because that's different for everybody. What's necessary for you is different from me. It's different from everybody else who might be watching. So this week, we're talking about a growth strategy, addition by subtraction. And we're going to dive into this, and for me, it's a leadership strategy that I adopted a long time ago. I adopted it in my last IT business, because we get stuck in that mindset that we have to have more. We have to have more clients. We have to have more leads. We have to have a bigger business. We need to have bigger staff. We need to have more. And I bought into that notion for a long time. I bought into the hustle culture. I bought into all of that, what the gurus out there were telling us things should look like, and that we need to keep adding. If we're not growing, we're dying. And again, that was my mantra for a long time, until I really sat down and thought about that. And I really started to challenge that notion of, do I really need more in my life? Do I really need more clients? Do I really need more stuff? And when you sit and think about that, I thought about, when my mom, we had rose bushes outside of our house growing up. And I remember when I was little, Mom would go out and trim the rose bushes, and she would cut off, the ends of the stems. And I said, wouldn't that kill the tree? Wouldn't that kill the rose bush? And she told me, she said, just watch, things will come back, that it will bloom again. And it did. And I had to think about that. For me as a little kid, I didn't get that concept. And I think growing up that, if we don't regularly prune things in our life, things can't grow. And I was amazed at, seeing that rose bush, really blossom when my mom would trim that in the spring. But it made me think about a book that I read, and somebody that I met back in 2012 when I was running my last IT business, like I said, Mike Michalowicz. I met Mike. I read his book, The Pumpkin Plan. Obviously, I gravitated naturally towards this book because, one, it's orange, and two, I really gravitated towards some of the concepts when I first heard Mike speak, and he was talking about the pumpkin plan, and he was talking about if you're prize-winning pumpkins and how he studied that, and he studied the people that grew prize-winning pumpkins. So you can apply this to anything, but he applied it to business in that in order to grow a prize-winning pumpkin, that those farmers pruned regularly. They took things out in order for things to grow. And he took that concept in business. And that every time we prune things out of our life, that we're actually making room for better things. We're actually making room for other things in our life. And I started to apply that into my business. And if you haven't read The Pumpkin Plan, the link to the book is in the show notes, so please grab that. It's a very easy read. It's actionable. There's not a lot of, it's not a lot of theory. It is actually things that you can actually do in your business in order to be able to grow. So I can't recommend that book enough. But a few things that I want to talk about today was that concept that we're always taught that we need more. And when I sit down and I start coaching small business owners, I coach startups. When you're in startup mode, yes, you need more customers, you need more leads, you need those things. But I think, going about a startup with a different mindset that more is not always better. Better is better. And let's break that down and how that applies to business. One of the first things people come to me when they sign up for my LinkedIn program or they ask for coaching, that's usually the first thing that they ask for. I need more leads. And I thought about that, in my own business. Like I said, I cried that, war cry for a long time, that I need more leads because that's going to equal more customers. That's going to equal more clients. But when I read Mike's book and I started to talk about things, if you've read Mike's book or if you've come across Pumpkin Plan, please put that in the comments too. Share that with the group so that I can see those of you who might be familiar with Mike's work. But I started to shift my mindset in what Mike talked about in the book and things that I saw in my business. More leads wasn't always the answer, and better leads was the answer. So I started examining that in the sales process and the things that we were creating, and then even branching that into our clients. Having more clients is not necessarily a good thing, because especially when you're in startup mode, you tend to take on customers, you take on anybody who can fog a mirror, anybody who can write you a check, that we take those customers on. And regardless of, our core values, our things, things that we believe in, we take customers because we need to grow. And that's good to a certain extent, but approaching it from a different aspect of having better clients is a better strategy, because I'm all about leading a calm business, a calm life. And when you have clients, too many clients that you can handle and not enough staff that can handle that, it creates stress. But when I started to examine, okay, do I really need more leads? Let's get better leads, more qualified leads that make better customers, that make better clients. Things started to change in what I actually spent my time on, what I spent my time pursuing. So think about that in your own business. Do you really need more leads? And I started to examine it. When I dug into that, I realized that I didn't really have a process to be able to nurture those leads. So when we're talking about the pruning process, I did not have a process for nurturing somebody who, a lead or a prospect that might be interested in our IT services. I did not have a repeatable, documented process to work them through to ultimately bring them into being a customer. So that's what I started to fix. I started to fix that right there. So when I started getting better quality leads, guess what happened? We got better quality clients. So I shifted my mindset from that quantity game to a quality game. And then we started to look at, examining our clients and really thinking about our clients and what we stood for and the things, our core values. But I started to examine that our best customers were not always the ones that paid us the most. Our best customers were ones that were easy to work with. Our best customers were ones that respected our opinion, and especially in the IT realm, that they respected what we did. They respected our seat at the table. Those were great clients. Those were ones where you give recommendations to them. They take you up on those things because they trust in your expertise. So we started to, gravitate towards customers that were like that, and we want to duplicate that. We want to get more of that. So better customers equals better. And again, it was a mindset shift that, more profit is better. So having a bunch of customers that we make very little money on creates stress because then you need more customers. So we started to look at the profitability. Our customers that were good to work with, how do we turn them into our most profitable customers? And the customers that we're not making, enough on, how do we gravitate them to being better customers and to buy more of our products and services? So that was the mindset shift, that more is not necessarily, doesn't equal better. Having better leads, better clients, better staff. And again, the hiring process, we could get into a whole talk about the hiring process. So the second thing that I started to look at, and again, I still see this as I do coaching with small business owners, that distractions seem to come up on a regular basis. And I talked about this a couple months ago on a broadcast of the fear of missing out, the shiny penny syndrome. And I still see that, rampant with entrepreneurs. They get squirreled, that, everything becomes, okay, let's go look at this. Oh, let's go look at this piece of software. And right now, I'm kind of seeing this right now with, the shiny new social media app. How many of you have heard of Clubhouse? Or are you members of Clubhouse? Have you joined up and talked about things on Clubhouse? And again, it's an audio only, iOS only. I'm not on it because I don't have fear of missing out. And let me explain why we're going to talk about this. Right now, for me, it's a distraction because you're getting into something that seems like, marketers are getting ahead of that. So when I coach my small business clients, that you don't necessarily have to be on Clubhouse just because that's the shiny new thing and that's where all the cool kids are hanging out. That sometimes the joy of missing out is better than the fear of missing out. And I think right now, we need to hone in and really, narrow our focus, that if we're not good at the other marketing things, that adding a new marketing piece or another social media app to our mix, it's a distraction. And distractions are often, disguised as new opportunities. And again, that's the justification that I used to make. Okay, this could be a new opportunity. But if I'm not, doing the rest of the things and I don't have processes in place and I'm not, really getting 100% out of other marketing things that I'm doing, it really does me no good to jump into a shiny new tool. But if you agree with that, or if you've suffered from shiny penny syndrome, let me know that as well. So we welcome Bryant. He loves, the template of more is not always better. So welcome to the show, Bryant. Let's see here. Robert Ashley put in there. Welcome, Robert. Another, repeat. So we'll give you a high five. Robert is a weekly viewer. So welcome back, Robert. So it looks like Robert's on Android. He's not a Clubhouse fan, or not on Clubhouse yet. But again, it's I talk about, a lot of those things that we get sidetracked with. And in IT, if you run a tech business, there's always a shiny new penny coming out. And it's not always marketing. Sometimes it's a piece of software, or, a vendor promises us some new tool that's going to solve all of our problems. And I had that syndrome for a long time where we kept shifting tools. We kept, reevaluating our tech stack. And that's part of the pruning process, is getting rid of the ones that aren't working for you. And then I had a longer evaluation process before we would disrupt everything and, throw everything out of whack, our progress for the year, because we got distracted by a new tool. So we implemented a very stringent evaluation plan, that every time that we would think about possibly using a new tool, that we would put it through a question list. And again, one of the things that we always missed was the hidden factor of training, the learning curve, all of that stuff that goes with it. We can't really put a price on. But the problem is it distracts us most times from what's most important, and that's our current customers, the ones, our best customers. And again, we talked about better clients. So welcome, Joel, to the broadcast. We're glad to have you. Is this your first time with us? Please put that in the comments too as well, Joel. But if you are thinking about implementing something new in your business, this is really what I want you to think about this year. Is it going to be a distraction? And again, Clubhouse does not fit in my game plan for the year. And I'm happy that, I'm not the only one out there that thinks this way. Marcus Sheridan posted on his LinkedIn profile the other day, and I'm glad, fellow mountaineer. If you're not familiar with Marcus Sheridan, look him up. But he posted that, and that got me thinking, same thing with him. Clubhouse is not on his radar. He's not joining Clubhouse anytime soon because it doesn't fit into his plan. And we have plans as we go into the year, and the more we distract ourselves, and as entrepreneurs, it's hard because there's really nobody to hold us accountable most times. So it's easy for us to get distracted by what we think are new opportunities. But again, it's just challenging what everybody else is saying, is that if you're considering opportunities because of the fear of missing out, that's when I think you really have to put the brakes on and evaluate the true best practice, the true origin of why you want to consider using something or switching something or being on a new social platform. Because everything comes with a cost, and that's what I've always found in business and in life. Everything comes with a cost, whether that's our time, but especially our attention. And that's where weeding out those distractions and constantly pruning distractions is super important. And especially those ones that are digital distractions. These guys right here. And again, I've got that right in front of me, but how many times do you pick that up a day? Is that a constant distraction? Is that stopping you from, having a better business, a better quality of life? All of those things are distractions, but weeding those things out, but being aware of those things, I think is, super important. And it's hard to do as an entrepreneur. So Joel said, yes, this is his first time. He's getting a heavy dose of orange today. But welcome, Joel, to the broadcast. We're super happy to have you today. But if you agree with, and there's 2 points that we've covered so far, that better is better, or weeding out distractions is another, a tip to growth. I've always found that, and I cut out a lot of stuff last year, that was distracting the mental energy that I needed to grow my business, to have a better personal life, better personal relationships. So the third tip that I have for this, and again, Mike talked about this in the book, is focusing all of your attention on your top ideal customers. And I really thought about this when we did this with my last IT business. We sat down and defined what our ideal customer looks like. And we defined, and we did an assessment. And Mike has one in the book too. I forgot to put up the link to that. But he has basically it's an Excel spreadsheet. You go in and you evaluate your customers in your immutable laws, or the things that you value inside your business. And we found that, again, just by doing that assessment, that our best customers were not always the ones that paid us the most. That we naturally automatically think that our best customers are the ones that write us the biggest check. And by going through that process of evaluation, we started to look at, okay, those customers that were paying us the most were also the most difficult to deal with. They took a lot of time. They took a lot of stress. They didn't necessarily share our core values. So we started to evaluate, customers, and we started to prioritize the ones that fit our core values. And, interestingly enough, the ones that fit our core values were the easiest to work with. Those are the ones that respected our opinion the most. And sometimes those were our best customers in that they paid us the most. But again, regularly evaluating, and that's part of this pruning process. So this is, what we did every quarter. We would go into each quarter, and we would do this evaluation on all the customers, even our new ones that we may have picked up over that quarter. And we benchmarked everybody through that evaluation. And an interesting thing happened, that by doing that ahead of time, that we stopped taking on customers ahead of time that didn't fit our core values. But again, it goes back to the first one. Better is better. That we started taking on better customers, and everything seemed to get easier. And it became easier to take care of all of our customers, especially when most of our customers were our ideal customers. But finding new ways to solve problems for them was something we started to look at. And again, that's why I was part of peer groups that were outside of the IT industry, because I got narrowly focused on our business, and we can't always see new ways to solve problems for people because everybody's kind of doing the same thing. Everybody kind of thinks along the same wavelength. But I was part of an additional peer group, and one of the things that was talked about on one of those peer groups was finding new ways to solve problems for customers. And it was interesting. We go around a room with other entrepreneurs that are not in your industry, the ideas and the innovation that happens in those brainstorming sessions. So we started finding new ways to help our customers. Let me give you, for instance, one of the challenges that we all have with caffeinated coffee and Starbucks all the time is the high calorie, the high sugar. We happened to take on a customer that was a caffeinated water company, 0 calories. So we started to think about that. How do we take that customer, which was a great customer, and how do we solve that problem for all the rest of our customers? Because we all have that most of the offices that you work in, when you sit and you caffeinate all day and you're hitting Red Bull and Starbucks and all of those things, we all know we gain a few pounds. So what I started doing is all of our best customers, once a month, we would deliver free caffeinated water to their offices. And that solved a major pain point. But it was an amazing thing that happened is you would be surprised how much goodwill that buys you when you solve a problem that has nothing to do with the business that you're in. And it was a truly amazing thing. All of the appreciation, all of the value that we created by that one simple act. And it didn't cost a lot of money to be able to do that. But again, that value went a long way, and our top customers loved us even more. They became much better customers. Because guess what? Your top customers, we all would like to be able to clone all of our top customers, wouldn't we? And we would like to have more of those. So when you're focusing all of your attention on your top customers, that allows you to get into the realm of other people. People hang out with people just like themselves. And that's what we started to find, that we were getting referrals and recommendations to their peer groups. Guess what happened? Better customers came along. Better leads became better customers. And that was just an awesome feeling that when we started to change what we did, that getting better leads equals better customers, and we started hiring better people to service our better customers, that things became a lot calmer. It was a lot easier to run a business. But if I had not taken the time to go through that pruning process, and we did that on a regular basis. So if you've done that before, I definitely recommend you do that on a regular basis. So if you're watching and you do that on a regular basis, that you go through a process of evaluating your customers, you evaluate the systems and process and mechanisms inside your company, please share that in the comments. And if you want to share how often that you do that as well. And we started doing it every quarter, that we would go through that evaluation process so that we made sure that we were constantly improving. But if we don't measure it, we don't know how to improve it. So let's talk about the last one. And this is one that I've seen come up a couple times in social media over the last week or two. And this is one of those ones that's a polarizing topic. For a lot of people, I think it freaks a lot of entrepreneurs out. It freaked me out with our last business. Because how many of you have customers that absolutely make your blood boil every time an email comes in, every time the phone call comes in, every time they put in a service request? How many of us have customers like that absolutely are terrible to deal with, that are hard to deal with? They don't respect our opinions when we give that, our expertise. They challenge every bill that we send them. The list can go on and on and on as to what defines a rotten customer. But when I started to think about that, the toll that took on the growth of my company, that every time we said yes to a rotten customer and they drained our resources, our mental resources, they cost us money. And every time that we kept saying yes to rotten customers, that we were saying no or didn't have the bandwidth to service our best customers. And once I kind of threw that head trash out, that we can't do that it's, foolish to turn down people's money. But when I actually went through that process of what is it actually costing us and how much time and resources and energy are we taking away from our best customers trying to service rotten customers? And that's really what I had to do is again, that was part of that evaluation chart that's out of Mike's book. But once we did that, we realized, okay, these rotten customers had an F score in quite a few areas. And then we made the decision. It was a tough decision for me we only had to do this 2 times in 10 years of running my last IT business. So Robert definitely agrees the 80-20 rule, below the line, they have to go. And again, that was a part of it. And this is hard to do. And if you've ever had to fire a customer too, please put that in the comments too. I know I'm not the only one that has ever had to fire a client. So let me give the 2 customers that we had to get rid of. One of them was a fairly large customer, and to the tune of about $3,800 a month. So this was not a small contract. This was a fairly decent sized contract that we had with my last IT business. But my staff hated every time certain people inside that company, especially the owner, would put in service requests or would call the help desk or he'd call me. My blood would boil. The temperature would raise. He would ruin an entire day, if he called or put in any requests. So I started to look at the toll that was taking on myself and the toll that it was taking on my staff, and was it really worth having them as a customer? Because when we looked at our core values, he didn't meet any of them. And it was kind of funny, the way that went down was, we did regular technology assessments with him. And I had done one, this was back in Windows 7, So Windows 7 was coming end of life. He had about a half dozen machines that needed to be replaced. So during our technology reviews over 2 previous quarters, we told him, okay, these things need to be replaced. And he kept putting it off, didn't want to spend the money. And then the last technology review, I told him, look, after this period of time when Microsoft is no longer supporting these, we will no longer support these. So if these systems go down or they break, you're going to be looking at a period of time before we can get them in. I'm not going to drop everything to replace these. And he was like, fine. So guess what happened when one of the machines went down and we told him it was going to be a week to get one in and to get it installed and get everything up and running? He hit the fan. And at that point, I had enough. So, there's Mike talks about different ways of firing customers in the book. But I fired him right there on the spot on the call. Because again, I had enough. And an interesting thing happened was his reaction was priceless. And the reaction of my staff when we finally fired them was elation. And I thought about that. It's a fairly big contract to lose. But an amazing thing happened was I now had more time to focus on our best customers. And when we started, refocusing and retasking our attention, an amazing thing happened. Our best customers started referring more customers. When they found out that we had got rid of this client because they knew each other, they were in the same association together. It brought a tremendous amount of respect that we went ahead and did that because, this particular our best customer knew what this person was like to deal with, and they knew they were a pain in the butt, and they were happy that we finally made that decision to get rid of them. And that was an interesting, thing that happened. So welcome, Javier. Greetings from Mexico. So again, we've got a global audience. I absolutely love, when folks tune in from all around the world. So again, if you've ever had to fire a customer, or if you think that you should fire a customer, put that in the comments or reach out to me, indirectly. So you may be connected to a person on LinkedIn that you might be thinking about firing. But if you're apprehensive about doing that, please reach out. I would be happy to help you walk through that. Different strategies for being able to eliminate rotten customers. And again, if you have the idea that you're going to take a rotten customer and make them one of your best customers, I had that mentality for a long time. I can change them. You won't. I've found jerks are typically jerks for life. And it really takes a lot to be able to change somebody from being a complete jerk to work with. So, but let's just, again, this whole episode was to think about those things, that taking things out of your business, that subtraction can actually, open things up for being able to grow. And that's what a lot of us want to be able to do this year. A lot of us hunkered down in 2020, and now in 2021, we want to. That's what I'm about, is helping people evaluate running a better business, running a calm business. Calm is a choice. And when we sit down and we think about these things and we evaluate these things, we realize we have the choice. And it's in our power to make those choices. And I think that's super important to be able to do that. So Javier said he just did that. He just fired a customer in November. And Javier, tell us, put in the comments too, how did your staff react when you finally made that decision and pulled the trigger to get rid of rotten customers? And I worried about that, like I said, for a long time, the repercussions of that. Because we focused on a couple different industries, and this person that we fired was pretty well connected in one of the industries that we were part of. But it allowed us up to turn around. We got rid of that contract and actually signed a $4,000 contract within 3 weeks, because I had the more time and attention to start working on better clients, better leads, better prospects, better of everything, not just more. So if there's one takeaway that you had today and that you would like to apply in your business, please put that in the comments. Which tip that we went through today would you like to apply first in your business? And, let's figure out a way that we help you work through that, and that we help you, build that calm business and that calm life. And that's what It's tough to do. We think it's impossible, and especially in the tech realm, it seems impossible, but it's not. When we finally make that choice to build a business the way that we want, not what other people want, that an interesting things happen. That our decisions become much different. So Javier says, I'm a one-man band, but I was sharing that customer with a contractor. He was shocked and envied me for doing it, and he stayed and has been getting pummeled. He constantly wishes that he would buck up and do the same. And that is the nail on the head. That we got to stop, picking up scraps. We don't need to. And when we start, with better quality, better evaluation process, better leads, and we start getting rid of customers that don't serve our needs and don't fit our core values, that we have that choice. We have that choice as entrepreneurs and as business owners. But it doesn't always feel like a choice, but it is. I promise you that it is. So thank you, Robert. He said his takeaway is make better. And having less things in your life is better. And that's what I found, with my last tech business. And that was one of the things I was determined to do with this business. That I didn't need a million customers. I didn't need a million subscribers. I didn't need a million members. I didn't need more. And, less has become better. And that's really what I found during the first year after I sold my IT business, took a vacation for the first time in 10 years. That less things in my life has definitely made it better. So thanks for hanging out. I know we went a little bit long today. I typically try to hold this to 30 minutes. But I thought it was a relevant topic. And I thought it was, in our coaching and in the mentoring that we do with startups and small business owners, this seemed to keep coming up. That mentality that we've got to have more customers, more clients, more staff, all of those things. That more is not always the answer. And so, let me know in the comments too that, what was your big takeaway for today, or if there was anything that really stuck out to you that you might want to share with another entrepreneur, with somebody else. But if there's things that you would like to have us cover on the show, please put those in the comments as well. So I'm thankful that, for every week that people like Robert, Javier, that we've got a lot of repeat viewers that come back every week. And as I've said from the beginning, we've been running this since April 1st of last year. This has been an absolute labor of love for me, and this has been therapy for me every week to be able to do this show, to be able to take all of the things that I've learned in business over the years, all the mistakes that I've made, to be able to share those and let people know that it's okay to talk about those things, and that it doesn't have to be what everybody else says your life should look like. And right now, as we go into a new year, I think it's especially important that we evaluate all of those things in our life, and we go through this pruning process, that we take out all of those things in our life that are not serving us, that we take out all of those things in our business that aren't working for us, that before we take on more, we get better at what we're actually doing, at the things that we need to be doing. And again, it's just having the awareness and taking the time is difficult. And that's what I wanted this week's show to be able to do, is to take that reminder. We're 1 month into 2021. And we've got a long road to go. But I think right now is when we need to take charge and be able to, make everything work for us, especially if we run a business. So Robert said, yes, very topical. We're reviewing out our tool set to make sure we are able to supply a better service. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. We went through this process in December. What things do I belong to? What newsletters do I subscribe to? What memberships am I a part of that are not serving me, that I just don't have the time to devote to them right now? And get rid of those, those things that are not serving you. But hopefully that's what this week's show is able to do, is to help you see those things that are not serving your business, that are not serving your personal life, that are not serving you spiritually, that are not moving you forward, that are not allowing you to grow. And to have the courage to be able to take those things out of your life and to remove those things from your life. That's what the Do What Is Necessary live stream is all about, is doing what is absolutely necessary for you. So thanks again for hanging out with me this week. I did want to say too, grab yourself, I'll get that in there, grab yourself a sweatshirt. Robert actually had a great idea for a hoodie. We've got, a lot of Team Orange swag at orangenomad.com/merch. So if you'd like to support this show, support this channel, I would really appreciate it. And, I'm about trying to take the Do What Is Necessary movement around the globe. And as you can see watching this show, we are global already. But if you'd like to support the show, I would love it, if you bought something. I think Robert grabbed his Team Orange sweatshirt is on the way. So you'll have to post a picture up on social media. Let us know you got that as well, Robert. But again, thank you so much for sharing your screen with me this week, and sharing your earbuds if you happen to be watching this on the podcast, which again, this is one of the things we're getting into this year, is getting better. So instead of jumping on things like Clubhouse, we're going to get better at what we're doing with this show, to be able to improve and bring relevant content and guest speakers on to be able to take people to the next level. That's what everything for me is absolutely all about. So Robert's, give me a thumbs up. He's got his on order. So thank you very much for your support and supporting Team Orange, Robert, and for being a regular viewer of the show. So again, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you on the next show. And as I end every show, always do what is necessary, and always, always, always stay humble and kind. I'll see you on the next show. Take care.